Hello friends, today I'll be talking to you about hypertension or blood pressure. So first we must know what is the blood pressure. Basically the blood pressure is the force by which the exerted on the arterial wall by the blood flowing through the arteries, and that blood pressure which is recorded when the heart pumps the blood is called the systolic blood pressure, and when the heart relaxes we record the diastolic blood pressure. How do we know that I have high blood pressure? Well, the only way you can actually find out is by going for a blood pressure measurements. So friends, if you have not done it already, please do get your blood pressure checked, because that's the only way you can know whether you have a normal blood pressure or a high blood pressure. And if you have a high blood pressure, you need not worry. You need not be afraid of anything. It's treatable. Of course, we must look at whether the blood pressure is due to primary blood pressure hypertension, or whether it is related to your family members having blood pressure, or it is due to any disease process, which we actually call a secondary hypertension. So if it is due to any disease process, or because of any drugs that you're consuming, or because of any addictions, then we can get rid of those addictions and the drugs, and your blood pressure can return to normal. We can measure this blood pressure by an instrument called the sphygmomanometer. It is available very easily. Most patients or people have one in the house. Your neighbor may be having one, and you can get your blood pressure checked. By the classification given by the regulating bodies, actually a pressure above 140/80 is considered as hypertension. Anything below that is a normal blood pressure. So if you have a blood pressure of 120/80, we say that's a normal blood pressure. Very good. Try and maintain it at that level. But generally, as we grow older, our blood arteries become stiffer, and there's a tendency for the blood pressure to go up. But also, we know that this blood pressure increases because of our unhealthy lifestyles. We have become more sedentary in our life. We exercise less. We eat the wrong type of food, especially if you're eating excess salt in your diet, there's chances of your blood pressure going up. So friends, I shall recommend certain measures which you can follow actually to keep your blood pressure under control if you're already hypertensive, or to prevent getting high blood pressure if you're normotensive. So what all measures you can take? You can exercise regularly. And what type of exercises would you do? Basically, a brisk morning walk, which we call an aerobic exercise, for about half an hour or 45 minutes daily, would keep you healthy and save you from many other diseases as well, such as diabetes, obesity, or high cholesterol. So you can prevent that. You can give up on any addictions such as smoking or alcohol. So that will also help you to bring down your blood pressure to a certain extent. Besides this, reducing your levels of stress, that is by relaxing. You could do it by meditation. You could do it by listening to music, or participating in any activities which you enjoy. By that way, you can actually reduce your stress or tension. Along with this, eating a healthy diet, that's very important, because having less salt, I have said, but then there are a lot of food which actually contain salt, which is hidden in it, like especially canned foods, which have excess salt as added as preservatives. Pickles have a lot of salt in them. Pappers, which is a favorite of many people, have a lot of salt in that. So also salted biscuits. So these are the foods which you should avoid. In fact, in brief, about healthy diet is something which you can have is plenty of fruits and vegetables, along with less sugars in your diet, and also a lot of fluids in the day, and also consume some food rich in potassium. That will actually help you to prevent you developing hypertension in the long term. Why do we, very often we ask ourselves, why do we need to treat hypertension? I have a blood pressure of 160/100, but I'm feeling fine. But my doctor is recommending that I should go and take medications or alter my lifestyle, take less salt, etc. Why? because if we do not control the blood pressure, in the long term, this would lead to various complications, like it could lead to blindness, it could lead to a cerebral stroke, it could lead to heart diseases, maybe a heart attack or a heart failure. It could affect the kidneys, which could lead to a long-term landing of in dialysis, or it could affect the peripheral blood vessels of our body and many other organs which are affected if we do not control our blood pressure. That is why it is necessary that we keep our blood pressure always under control. And once we are diagnosed as having hypertension, it's very important that we consult a doctor at frequent intervals, get a blood pressure checked, either through the doctor himself or have a home blood pressure monitoring equipment and measure it at regular intervals in the house itself, and report to the doctor if there is any change in the blood pressure measurements. We must adhere to the medications which have been prescribed by the doctor and take them on a regular basis so that we can prevent the complications arising due to uncontrolled high blood pressure. Also, we must realize that hypertension has been called a silent killer. The reason being that it does not present with much symptoms. If we have a bleeding from a rectum or if we cough out blood, we run to the doctor for treatment. But in cases of high blood pressure, you don't really develop many symptoms. That is why it is also called a silent killer. And so we need to get our blood pressure measured on a regular basis for those who are hypertensive. And if we have not yet measured our blood pressure, at least do get it checked now so that you know whether you are having a normal blood pressure or you have a high blood pressure.